like had double meaning. I said, where are you going? Nowhere, man. Yeah, he was Bruce Greenwood. And I came up here once to do his show, and was up for 10 days. And just pissing rain.
Doesn't look like him.
And just loved it. Went to the other Powell, the main Powell, and just sat there, took a nap, read a book, ate soup. It was just the best. But I used to always come up here as well. There's a charity event up here in the Rose City that my wife and I used to always come up because we just love this area so much. It's like the perfect size city because it's big enough to have the culture you want, plenty of restaurants, plenty of everything, but not an abundance of, not too much of that. It's like, oh, like where I live in Los Angeles, that is just massive, you know, just uncomfortable. So.
Well, we're happy to have you back, especially on a blustery day like this. Hopefully, our fingers crossed, and there won't be any trees falling down as we get on. Yeah. So now, you know, your book is really, it's really pretty wonderful, I have to say. Yeah, I mean, I just found it very readable, and as we were talking earlier, you wrote it, it sounds like you. And one of the points that I was really struck by that you make is the importance of storytelling. You know, you talk about how actors are storytellers. You mentioned your father was kind of naturally gifted storyteller in this book. You obviously have the gift yourself. Why do you think storytelling is so much a part of who you are and something that seems to resonate so much with people?
I don't think it's exclusive to me. I think that's probably our earliest memory is dragging a book to our parents' lap and looking at the pictures and being told a story. And it doesn't matter if you're 2 or 102, that never changes. You want to be told a really interesting story. That's the joy and really the discovery of a human being, is that we are not only willing, we desire to be told something that we know consciously is not necessarily true, but we don't care. Take us away, tell us a story, let us dream, and that's the, you know, I think that's the sweetest thing about human beings. Some of us then are the real lucky ones that we are able to be in a profession where we then become also the storyteller. But that doesn't mean we stop wanting to be the listener of the story, right? So it's been a gift for me, it's been a joy, but it hasn't always been very clear that that's what I was going to do. I mean, I had a very challenging childhood, and I was being guided to one place, and then that switched and went to another place. Look at all these flyers, they're coming by with yeah. It's like a drive-by iPhone. But it's really interesting to realize that, you know, where is your destiny? And you know, I had a difficult childhood, but I don't think it's unique in that sense. I think there's a lot of people who have had those challenging childhoods. I probably had it better than a lot of people, even here today, who had it really tough. And despite that, you still need to forge your own identity, find out who you are, where you belong, and find your slice of happiness, whatever makes you happy. So I talk to a lot of kids who are interested in becoming actors or anything within the arts, and I often say to them, if you can do something else and be happy, then that's probably what you should be doing. Because it is a very difficult road. There's never going to be a shortage of actors or writers or directors, just there never will. And the life doesn't owe you anything, you just have to carve it out for yourself. But I also say that if you are listening to this and you are one of those people who are thinking, I feel a burning desire to tell stories, a burning desire to be a poet, to be a songwriter, to be a singer, to be a painter, whatever. If you feel that's in your being, that's who you are, you must try. You must get out there and make that attempt, because the only true failure is if you don't. then you fail for sure.
You had an epiphany because you were on the track to go into law enforcement.
Yeah.
Which is kind of ironic considering you later got your wife. It's kind of ironic.
Yeah.
And you had a moment where you realized, maybe law enforcement is for me, and you just had this conviction that you wanted to be an actor, which was interesting because your dad had wanted to be an actor too.
Well, my dad was an actor, and he experienced pretty much. I'm going to stand up for this. Pretty soon I'm going to talk about an opportunity in the world of Avon products. No, my dad was an actor, and he had the typical actor's life, which is, oh, that was nice, oh, that's low, 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 lower, lower, middle, lower, lower, oh, lower, lower. And so we had experiences when I was a kid where I remember him buying a new car for our family, and then a year later, we got rid of that new car and got an old car. And then a couple of years after that, we put a built-in swimming pool in, the whole thing, with the gunite and the whole rebar and everything. And then the following year, I remember my mother saying, we can't swim in the pool this year because we can't afford the chemicals. So it looked like a swamp. Yeah? And so, but as a kid, you don't have anything to relate it to. It's just your life. And you don't really realize that there's misfortune there. It's just you're kind of going along with your life. It's not until you become older and more mature that you look back and you go, oh, that was a bad period, wasn't it? And there was a time that when, after my father had come into this life crisis of his own, and he left the family. I was 11 at the time, and I didn't see him again until I was 22. My mother was heartbroken, and she started to self-medicate and became an alcoholic. And so she became emotionally disconnected from me. So there you are, you're 11 years old. You're 12 years old, you're trying to figure out, what do I do next? Where do I go? Fortunately, I have an older brother who's 2 years older than me, and he was just a step ahead. So he was kind of running into things just before I knew I would, and he was almost like a lineman, and I'm a fullback, and I go, oh, he's opening a hole. I can find it. Not fair to him, he was just a kid too. And when he was 16, he joined the Police Explorers in Los Angeles. I don't know why. He knows why, because he said that we travel a lot. So we were poor kids from a suburb of Los Angeles. And when he was 16, he joined this group, and the first thing they did was go to Hawaii. The next year, they went to Japan. So I thought, all right, I'm joining this group. I don't know what I have to do, but that's the only way I can see getting myself to any of these romantic places. And so I joined the Police Explorers, not knowing what I would have to do. I had to go to the LAPD Academy for 8 straight Saturdays and study police work, procedures and protocols and marching and direction and traffic control and things like that. And I found out that I had an aptitude for it. Who knew? I graduated first in my class of 111 16-year-olds. So from that point, this kid was thinking, oh, I guess that's what I should do. I guess I'm going to be a policeman. Well, it makes sense, right? You're good at something, try it. First summer, we go off to Europe. I was 16 years old. Off we go with 20 other friends, and we go to Europe. And it is, unfortunately, where I lost my virginity. And I go back every year to look for it. My second year of college, though, I was on track studying police science. Second year of college, I'm taking an elective course of acting because I had done some when I was a kid, and it was fun. And I get into class, and the teacher is handing out scripts for us to read, depending on proximity. Whoever, oh, you two read this, you two read this, you two read this, and I was standing next to a really, really pretty girl. And I got this script, and it said, a couple is making out on a park bench. Oh my God. I'm supposed to do this.
Maybe don't
My
move me,
job
don't
now
move
is
me.
to kiss this pretty girl. This never happens in police science. But now it's like this is your job. This is what you're supposed to do, and do it well. So I thought, okay, now she's ready because I'm gonna really kiss her. Before I can put down my script and turn, she is onto me, lip locks. She's pulling her body on top of mine. We're kissing and rolling around on this bench, and hugging and kissing and feeling, and she's on top of me and squeezing. And then she started patting me, like up on my upper thigh. Like I didn't know what that was. That was a new move. You know, I was only 19. I didn't know that move. It's like, oh, I guess women like that. So I started patting her back a little bit. What she was telling me is, get on with the scene. My character had the first line. It was supposed to push back from this embrace and say, Beth, we need to talk. I didn't want to push back. Slapping me in the thigh. Like, finally, I push back and I go, okay, yeah. I pushed her away. Okay. Got the line. We finally get through it. And at the break, I thought, oh, this is easy. I'm in. We're gonna go out. There's no question. She was into me. So I go up to her and I asked her, I said, well, I thought that went pretty well. And she said, well, it was a little rough in the beginning. Yeah, I know. Sorry, I lost my place. But I said, okay, that's all right. I said, so we should go out sometime. And she looked at me like I was a lost puppy. And said, oh, no. I have a boyfriend. And of course, when you're 19 and a boy, you feign indifference, like it didn't matter to you. She said yes, all right. So I went, yeah, okay, no problem. She walks away. Oh. How did I miss that? So two things were taking this 19-year-old boy and swirling around in his head, making me dizzy. One was that my responsibility in that class was to kiss this girl and to really believe it and make out with this girl. That was one thing that was crazy. The second thing was, she was acting. She wasn't into me at all, which made me crazy. Now I'm thinking, oh my God, I totally believed it. That's amazing. This woman was amazing. And I lost track of her. I don't know what happened to this girl, Meryl Streep, but I wish her well and whatever she may be doing now. I wish I could get a hold of her and say, you really changed my life. But so, that was the preface of this. So, it confused me. So what did I do? I got on a motorcycle and I left California for 2 years, just to travel around, allowing myself to get lost. Because I knew I didn't want to go into police work, and this new thing of acting was, can I really do that? My father tried and failed at it, and it didn't work for him. It, in some ways, perhaps contributed to breaking up the family. So, and I wasn't mature enough to really recognize who I was and who I should be. So I left. I ran away, basically. I had to get away to get lost. In retrospect, I realized that I was getting lost purposefully so that at some point I could be found. I could find myself. And it was on the Blue Ridge Parkway of Virginia, pouring rain, beautiful on a motorcycle, unless it's raining, then you can't see anything. And it was pouring rain. Now this was before GPS, so our little maps, my brother was with me, and there was no way of knowing where we were. We could be 20 minutes away from a town, we could be 200 miles away from that. We had no idea. We saw a sign, a rest stop, we pulled down. There was a slab of cement, a picnic table, 4 posts and a roof, and a sodium light in this compound. We took our motorcycles up onto this slab. We knew we were spending the night, and we got out our we had our carburetors back then. This is the 70s. We'd open up our carburetors into a little stove, camp stove, and that's how we cooked our food.